Hey everyone, welcome back to David Moore Engineering. So me and Ross have come in over Christmas. We thought this would be a good time to come in and basically we want to give you a bit of a workshop tour today, and we'd also like to discuss with you guys some of our plans for next year. So we've got some pretty big plans that we want to sort of share with you, because that's going to definitely start to be involved in some of the content for next year. Now, let's get into it. Over here, we have the line boring machine. So currently we just pop this in so I've got somewhere to scribble my notes whilst we're busy. Now, a line boring machine is exactly that. It's a cutter on a bar that bores in line. So this bar rotates and is held between these supports. So they're all adjustable and movable. And you can use this machine for machining main bores and camshaft housings. So if you wanted to fit steel main caps to an engine block where you need to actually cut the steel main cap out in line, that's exactly what you'd be using this machine for. Over here, one of the other things we do have is the oven. Like we've spoken about before, this is used for fitting your valve guides and your liners. This is a sort of custom built blacksmithed, sort of custom made oven for us to heat cylinder heads up, heat cylinder blocks up, and then we use liquid nitrogen from this tank here to cool down your valve guides and your liners, so that everything should slip in nicely. We try to avoid having to press stuff in or beat anything in. You know, once you've had the luxury of using liquid nitrogen and an oven, it's really difficult to go backwards from that. So that just makes everything nice and safe so that we don't have to worry about that. Coming round here, this is just the tank that we use for diamond honing the valve guides after they're fitted. So you can see here, this is an adjustable mandrel, diamond honing stone, so that once you fit your valve guides, you're able to increase the inside diameter of that valve guide once it's fitted in the cylinder head to get the right valve to guide clearance. We'll do a proper video on that, I'm sure, at some point when we show you fitting some guides, because there's a bit of an explanation on that. Again, in the theme of still doing cylinder heads over here, this is the Surdy valve seat cutting machine. Now, you are able to mount cylinder heads between these two parallels. They're fully adjustable. You can then rotate to the correct angle. This here is your floating head of the machine that floats across the top. And then this here will self-center and locate in the valve guide to cut your valve seat true to your valve guide. Now, this is a really cool bit of equipment, and you'll see in time, again, we will do more videos where you guys are going to get to learn a lot more of what we do here, and you'll get a proper explanation on how this machine works. It's a really clever bit of kit. As we spoke about before, I worked at Surdy UK, so I was really fortunate in getting a great education on how to use this machine. We'll go into that in a lot more detail. If we can get Ross over here, you'll be able to see the rod honing machine, as we call it. It's a horizontal honing machine, and you end up with different mandrels. So that is quite a small, big end mandrel. So it's missing the stone here, but you can see the stones adjust out on a taper. You can see that just there by my thumb. And as the stone expands, cuts into whatever you're sliding back and forward with honing oil again. This one here is a small end honing mandrel, so you can see much smaller, and you can see the stone here. Now, that is basically used for the final machining on rods. So it's a slow and steady process, really good surface finish, and really accurate for sizes. So if you cut material, you know, you can't take a very, very small cut. This, we can remove tenths of a thousandths of an inch to get the fit of your small end pin just perfect, your big end housing perfectly inside its tolerance. So If we can try and work this out, hold up, there we go. Again, any of you guys who got to see our Ratarosa video will know this machine. This is our pressure testing machine. So this is a big hot water tank down here. You're then able to clamp any casting. Traditionally, we use it for cylinder blocks and cylinder heads. You then fill that up with air, clamp everything off, and you then drop the whole thing down into the hot water tank. And if you're seeing bubbles, generally it means there's a problem. So this will find cracks or porosity in castings and will allow us to check a casting is good to use before we start machining it. So that's quite a vital piece of kit here. If Ross is able to look up behind him, just up here, you guys will be able to see that we have fitted aircon. Now that happened because we started doing better and better work, trying to really get into the nitty gritty of really fine tolerances. And you just can't do that if you're not temperature controlled. So again, being open and honest with you guys, we're not perfect. Sometimes the door are open. We don't claim to be anything that we're not, but we do make a really conscious effort to try to be at 20 degrees flat out all the time. And what we have noticed is since fitting that, the repeatability of the work here is completely different to what it was before having it. You know, you used to go home of an evening, come in the next morning, and you'd then measure the block you hadn't finished and it won't quite read the same. We're talking tenths of thousandths of an inch, but now we can set bore gauges, be halfway through a block, go home, the next day it is identical. So it allows us to be a lot more confident in when we say something's on size, we can almost guarantee it to be on size. So that runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so that when we have jobs come in, if we have to store stuff upstairs, that comes down on a Friday to be machined on a Monday if it's not already down here. Okay, so if Ross can, that's it, we'll get there one day. Like we said in the last video, me and Ross are still trying to work out this bit of trying to run a production company here. Now, this here is our old XYZ. This is a 3-axis semi-CNC machine, so it's conversational. And what this allows us to do is to bore blocks, skim blocks, and skim cylinder heads. We're able to operate it manually on handles, and we're also able to operate it on the computer. So this allows us to bore blocks in a way that we can set center to center distances really easily. We're able to do some interesting stuff. We can CNC combustion chambers if we need to, if they're in basic shapes and forms. And it's allowed us to do more than you could do on traditional old school boring machines. Again, this machine is one of the things we need to speak to you guys about our big plans for next year. Whilst I remember, guys, what we've found is most of our viewers are sat at home watching this from their television, and less than 50% of our viewers are subscribers. So if you're sat at home, can I ask you please pause the TV, grab your phone out, open up the YouTube app and just subscribe to the channel, because every subscriber helps us in being able to keep bringing you all of these videos, keep encouraging Ross to come down here and give up his time to keep putting in all the effort to keep bringing them to you. So now we move on to the milling machine. So this as well is where we mount our crank balancer. That is going to be another video for you guys. So we'll get into that, but that works very similar, the same as that, but it's just a general milling machine. Here we have the CNC lathe. So again, made by the same manufacturer as the milling machine, but this is a nice big lathe for us, so it can be operated manually on the handles and by CNC control. So this, it's quite a big lathe, so we can mount crankshafts, we can mount just about anything in this lathe. And we're also able to make small batch components, so we can make custom small ends, custom valve guides, bucket sleeves. There's loads that we can do. And what we done is we upgraded from a manual machine to this. Now we can do so much on this, we've now realised that we need another one. So that's caused us a bit of a problem, but the crank grinder is something we're rebuilding at the moment because we was unhappy with some results we was getting from it. So you guys will see the crankshaft grinding wheel was missing, where we've basically had to make new bushes for that. And so we're trying to go through and fully rebuild this machine. Hopefully in the new year, we'll be able to show you some content on rebuilding this and getting this up and running again properly, because we was getting some taper in big end journals. We was unhappy with it, stopped using it immediately, pulled it apart to find the problem. We have the wash cabinet. Again, nice big wash cabinet. So it's over 1 metre in diameter, the basket. So we are able to wash just about anything. The joys of us here, where we work on anything, and a lot of what we work on is bigger jobs, we need a big wash basket. So that's quite a big bit of kit. The honing machine, so we have the Delapina beam stroker with a friction feed unit. Now this works by, you have your honing module coming down into your cylinder block that sits inside your honing tank, and you then run coolant, and we run diamonds. We run diamond stones with coolant. Now we've modified a Rottler honing head to fit this machine, so that basically the piece that's touching the engine block and the bit that actually takes the material and creates the results is that of the brand new Rottler honing machine. But it's on the older system, so this is very adaptable for the amount of stroke you get, how fast it strokes, how fast it turns. So we're able to do honing of monoblocks and things where you have to worry about hitting the chamber in a monoblock. This machine is really controllable for that. Again, this is one of the machines we need to talk to you about in our plans for the new year. And the final piece of equipment is the sun and line honing machine. So this is a machine where this mandrel goes all the way through the main housings and is then lubricated with oil whilst stroking back and forth. And what that does is it allows you to bring all of your main housings back into alignment and to the correct size. Once you've used this machine, we don't like building engines without it. The results you get from this machine, it makes all of the oil clearances in the engine identical down the block, and you can really feel the difference in a crank turning when the block's been line honed over not been line honed. We're starting to use this machine quite a lot for a lot of production or small batch production of remanufactured cylinder blocks, because getting, let's say, 7 main journals in alignment is quite difficult, especially on modern CNC machines. So what a lot of people are doing now is having those made smaller and then having us line hone them to the final size. Again, all of that we will get into in another video where we can explain everything properly. So what me and Ross have been spending a bit of time this morning thinking about this is we're too busy. We are so busy, and what's happened is where the business started off as me on my own, and then Chris, again, you'll meet him soon, joined me 2 years ago, and then Harry joined us last year in 2024. So now we're busier than probably the workshop can handle. Now, fortunately, the unit next door has become available, and so we've decided that we're going to take that, because what we really need to do, we need another XYZ machine where that does all of our block work and some of our cylinder head work. It means that you can get a job to a certain point and then you may not be able to get on the machine to finish it. So we really need another one of those machines. That's going to go next door. And like we discussed earlier, we need another CNC lathe. That's going to have to go next door. We need a newer honing machine. All of these machines we need because we need to ramp up the rate of production we can do. We've got some really good customers they're all businesses, and they need their work back in a good time frame. So we've got really big plans for next year to try and expand into that. We're looking for someone to come and work with us at the moment, and we will keep you posted on that. So now we're upstairs in the engine build room. For you guys that have seen our videos, this will look familiar to you. So again, we built this room a couple of years ago now when Chris joined us. So we've got tambour cupboards for being able to store components in, sub-assemblies, plenty of workspace. We then have shared toolbox and 2 individual toolboxes. So I have my toolbox, Chris has his toolbox because we're the 2 engine builders here. Then we have the shared toolbox. We have the Surdy head bench for building cylinder heads, your whiteboard for general notes and stuff like that. And then again, if you've seen some of our videos before, you'll see the TV on the wall. It's not for watching Formula One. It is for data display whilst you're working. So we're able to have from the laptop HDMI ports around the room, you're able to put technical data onto the screen so that we're able to look up here, nice big screen, nice and easy whilst you're working. So talk sequences like this straight up in front of you. If you're working from a spreadsheet for data logging whilst you're going through, again, you're able to see all of that on the screen. Now, that semi-concludes us, like I say, after what we spoke about whilst we was downstairs about our plans for this year. You're hopefully going to get to see a lot of that happen very quickly because the units come available. So that's going to be quite a lot of content for you guys. And we've got some more machining videos for you. So we're going to put in a bit of effort this year to try to bring you 1 video a week. And hopefully we can do it in projects and everything else. Now, before you guys sign off, I just want to ask one more time, can you like and subscribe to the channel so that we can keep bringing you these videos, and we'll see you next week.